Welcome back to our videos, 6th grade friends. And today we're still going to work on surface area of triangular prisms. Last time we did this by using a net. And so you drew out all the shapes and you found the areas of all the shapes and you added that together, kind of like a composite figure from chapter 10. Today I want to use the formula. And so a lot of you might find this a whole lot easier. And it is, as long as you're careful about what you plug in and what it means. So I want to go through how this formula comes about, what it all means, and we'll do some examples. And there's this formula, which is the one on the PSSA sheet that you'll have for PSSAs. But there's also another one on a handout that I'll give you, and I want to show you how they're really the same, but they use different letters. All right, so we have a triangular prism here. And so we have a triangle, which would be our base. And then there's another triangle in the back that you don't see because prisms have two bases. And then all these sides that you can see this one, but you can't see the one on the bottom or the side are rectangles. So the first thing you have to realize is that W for width is the distance between the two triangular bases. All right, I'm going to say that again. W width is the distance between the two triangles. Really important to realize that. Now, what they do is they call the three sides of the triangles A, B, and C. And what I don't like about this formula, the way they set it up, is that A here is actually the base of your triangle because here's your perpendicular height. All right, I wish they switched these two. I wish this was B and that was A, because I think it would just make it a little easier for you. But so what you need to realize is that A, in this formula here, A is the side of the triangle that is perpendicular 90 degrees to the height of the triangle. And then B and C are your other two. So what happens if we were to take this triangle, right? Area of a triangle we know is 1/2 base times height. So in this picture here, area of the triangle becomes A 1/2. Now B, base, is actually the A. So let's put the A in there. And then H. Okay. Now, because there's two triangles, the one you see here and the one in the back, we multiply that by 2 eventually. And so 1/2 times 2, if I were to do commutative property, 2, so I'm going to move it. 2 times 1/2 times A times H. Sorry, gotta slide that up. Okay, so I moved. For commutative property says order doesn't matter if it's all multiplication. So now A equals 2 times 1/2 is 2/2, right? Times A times H, and 2/2 is 1. So I end up with the area for the two triangular bases of this prism being just A times H. All right, and that's where this part right here comes from. All right, so that A times H, A being the base of the triangle, is really the area of the two triangles. Then all you need is to find the areas of the three rectangles. And so we're going to take A times W. So this distance times the width is really the rectangle that you can't see, rectangle that this is sitting on. And then B times W is here times that width. That's actually this rectangle that's sitting back here on this side. And C times W, this is this rectangle you see right here. So it's really a simple formula. And so if you don't like to do the net, you can just use this. What you got to realize though is A is being used twice. A is perpendicular to the height. All right. So now I'm going to compare that to a different sheet. So I'm going to give you this sheet as well, surface area of triangular prism. And I think this one does a little bit nicer job. So where here we had A times H, right? Here they call it base, left-hand side, right-hand side, width. All right, so basically this would be left-hand side, right-hand side, base, and your width. So the two triangles become the base times the height. So here b makes sense to me, all right, base times height. Then you just need to take the right length times the width to get this rectangle. The left hand length times this width is going to be this rectangle in the back, and base times width is going to be this rectangle that it's sitting on. So I just want you to realize that these two formulas here and here are really the same, except again, they're using A for the base, for this base here. So as long as you realize that and you can make sense of this, it's really pretty simple. So let's do an example. So on this sheet here, I'm going to take my piece of paper, and I don't want to write on this sheet because this might be my master and I didn't bring another one home to make sure before I write on it, and I want to Xerox it for you. So comparing this diagram up here to my example, I can actually zoom out just a little bit more. So first step is always write your formula. Okay, so SA equals. Now, because you have the one that you're going to have when you're testing is the one from PSSA, I'm going to use that one. So that was the A times the H plus A times W plus B times W plus C times W. But it really means all the same thing here. So now we're going to take a look at what's what over here in my diagram. So base, which on here is the A. So A is the base of the triangle perpendicular to the height of the triangle. All right. I really think you should write that down. Just pause here a second. Really want you to write that down, even if you want to write it even right here on your formula sheet. All right. A is always going to be the one perpendicular to the height of your triangle. So in this picture here of my example, that's going to be my 7. All right, because if you can see here, here's my perpendicular height is 5. Here's 7. So the three sides of my triangle are 6, 7, and 8. My width between the two triangles, triangle here and one will be in back, is the 14. So I'm going to substitute in, so surface area equals. Now, we said A is the base, 7, times height is my 5. And remember, I'm not doing the 1/2, even though it's a triangle, I'm not going to show my 1/2 because I end up multiplying it by 2 and that cancels out. Plus, now A is still my base of my triangle, 7 times width between the two is my 14. Plus, now B, if they, over here, they would call B the right side. So right side, 8 times width stays the same, 14, plus C is my left-hand side length, 6 times 14. All right, so here's the first thing I want to double check before I go farther. Make sure that we have the 3 rectangles. We should have each one of these sides multiplied by 14. So 7 times 14 is here, 8 times 14, 6 times 14. Yep. And then I want to make sure I have my 2 triangles, which will be the base times the height, 5 times 7, right there. So I have all 4 pieces. All right. So if I multiply these 4 pieces together and then add them, so I'm going to bring down my plus signs. All right. Then I'm going to pull out my handy dandy calculator in a second. So surface area. Now 7 times 5, I know, is 35. Okay. So pull out the calculator, and then 7 times 14, that gives me 98 for that piece. And then 8 times 14 gives me 112. And 6 times 14 gives me 84. All right, so I really did all my multiplication steps. I'm showing them with the addition. And then I just have to come back and add them all up. So 35 plus 98 plus 112 plus 84 equals 329. So surface area equals 329. Now I need units, so I need to go back and look. What was my unit over here? It was a meter. So it's meters, and since it's area, it's squared. So hopefully you find that a whole lot easier to do these problems. If you didn't like the net and breaking everything down, you can just use that formula. So I want to do one more example from a different page and show you some of the things you need to be careful about.